Oh, hello.
Hello there. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm doing some. I'm trying to get onto Zoom and YouTube at the same time. Oh, look at that! I'm here. Okay, yes, we are there. That's good.
What about Facebook?
So what I understand is that it's easy to do 2 of them, but not all 3.
Okay.
So I think the sound is good, right? Let me just go back to Zoom. I think Zoom will be easier. It's redirecting to YouTube.
Notification, watch live now, Rabbi Jacques Cook Your Corn on YouTube.
Yeah, we just need to give people the, okay, now I'm back here I like the Zoom screen better. Let's see who shows up. Oh, I can, come here, Boo Boo. Come here. Meet. Look at Aunt Virginia. Oh. Jose is a lover. Aren't you a lover?
He is.
His mouth is a gateway to hell. How can such a cute little thing has a mouth that stinks so much, but still. Oh, Jose.
How much does he weigh?
Maybe 5-6 pounds.
Yeah, my cat is much bigger than that.
Yeah, we can't afford a big dog, so we just have Jose. Look at him. You wanna go down, don't you? He's gone. So, John is here.
And nobody else yet.
Yeah, nobody yet. What happened with Len?
Well, I have quit stressing about it. I will just show up and respond to anything anybody wants to talk about.
I want to talk about why do we eat turkey on Thanksgiving, which is horrendous. Like, I mean, it's the worst possible meat. I mean, you know.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I don't know what's the fixation on turkey.
Well,
so what would you rather eat?
Anything.
Okay, so there's 2 of me and 2 of you, right?
Look at you. You are.
That's about enough, isn't it? Oh, there's Anita. She's my other half.
I just saw today that the JCC is doing a Thanksgiving thing from 4 through 8 for people who don't have family and are alone.
Oh, you mean like
a Zoom?
A Zoom thing. Yeah, well, let's see. Copy my idea.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, it's the greatest form of flattery. So, what are you doing, Virginia? You're cooking?
I'm cooking and providing carry out for 2 women who are alone on Thanksgiving. We decided not to risk eating together. Zooming with my family in Georgia. And otherwise, I'm open to participating in whatever we decide to do. You know, I guess there are a couple of things that could be talked about. One is that the Pilgrims really identified with Moses and the Exodus from Egypt.
Right, absolutely.
And they considered the Mayflower contract a Brit.
Correct, absolutely. All true.
And then I suppose there's also an aspect of the Native Americans welcoming the stranger. There's
And-
also
and-
some fascinating,
and
stuff about could they be part of the lost tribes of Israel?
Oh yeah, oh that's for sure. The first book ever written in North America that involves Jews was written by a fellow called Bishop White. I'm not even sure he was a bishop, but maybe his name was Bishop, or Bishop White. And he was about the theory that the Israelites were the lost 10, the Indians were the lost 10 tribes. And when the Mormon, I'm sorry?
All 10?
Part of. And but it's far more insidious than that. I need to explain that to you. What happens is, just like when they come in, the British colonists get to Zimbabwe and they see those humongous ruins. You know, they say, oh, these people must be the lost tribes of Israel. Why? What they are saying is, these stupid black people are not capable, are not smart enough to make these ruins. It has to be somebody outside from them. So you understand, it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a way to validate their colonialistic thoughts. You know, that oh, these people here, they need us to help them because they can't do it by themselves. And if we find something worthwhile, then obviously it can't be local. It has to have come from the outside.
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. No, because that's the whole deal. You know, they say in Zimbabwe they found these people. Well, when they found the Great Zimbabwe, which was a great civilization in Africa, while your ancestors in the islands were still eating lice of each other, the people in the Zimbabwe had running water. You understand? But they couldn't take that, so they had to reaffirm their colonial values. You know, so from the outside.
Interesting.
So that's the story. And how far your brother is in Macon, right? And
right. And his son and his live-in girlfriend are coming down for Thanksgiving, but they're only coming down for the day. They're getting tested before they come, and they're still eating outside.
Oh, wow.
Which you can do easily in Georgia.
Yeah.
You can do it here too. We just have what's called goose down, parkas.
Well, it is supposed to be in the 50s Thursday, so
yeah, it's supposed to be 55. Yeah, and that may or may not be workable, but the people that usually we get together with think even that is too dangerous. So we'll eat in Zoom as well.
You know, the scary thing is a study that just came out this week from Duke on students, which found that of those who tested positive, about half addict, but they still had large viral loads. Which means they were, even though asymptomatic, they were very contagious.
Well, yeah, you can't tell by looking somebody in the eye if they've got bugs, right? Not a surprise.
Right.
We can't see.
I think the surprise was how high the viral loads could be on asymptomatic individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, look at John. Even, oh my God, he even got a haircut and shaved and everything. It's his birthday. It's his birthday today.
Well, I have to face the public after all. Me and Biden, we share the same birthday.
Correct. Imagine that.
Although he's a bit younger.
He is?
Yeah, he's 2 years younger than I am.
And look, and he's president, which obviously brings us to mind, first Jew becomes president of the nation. During the inauguration, the mother sitting there turns to the guy next to him and says, see that one there? His brother is a doctor.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, that's the best. Now, Len asked me to send he got a new computer, and I just saw he just asked me to send him the material, which I just did because apparently it got lost in his old computer, and hopefully his new computer will function. But you know, it isn't the hardware, it's the software, isn't it?
correct.
Yeah.
Well, what we send out, I mean, he's got the book. What we send out is just something so that people who don't have the book might be persuaded
Right.
to come.
Well, I've made overtures to a few, but those who feel that services is 1 hour is enough. Otherwise, their brain, you know, freezes or something like that.
I think we've got a large congregation of cultural Jews.
Well,
Most of them are.
well, hey, listen, if we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck at all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But you know, the little bits, some things help, and I enjoy reading this, and it's something I didn't really connect with well before, or think in terms of those specific theses.
So here's my trivia question for tonight, John, to see if you can answer it. Where did the Moabites originate?
In Moab,
That would be my answer. Yeah.
in Moab.
Well, Moab came later, but who was the mother of the first Moabite?
Um,
Well, she couldn't have been Jewish.
no.
Lot's daughter.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice.
Lot's two daughters, after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, got their father drunk and seduced him, and they each had a child. And one became the mother of the Moabites, the other of the Ammonites.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's obvious that Moabites are not really foreigners either. They're all in the family, even though they're claimed to be foreigners, right?
Well, it's all part of the myth.
What do you mean myth? You mean it's all factual, and that's why I can't keep track of it.
But I did sort of, since the verse in Deuteronomy says that Moabites will not be permitted to enter into the fellowship of Israel for 10 generations. I did count back the generations, and Ruth is still within the 10 generations.
And so this is all still within 10 generations, huh?
Text message from.
Oh, sure. So then we made a dispensation, a papal dispensation, right?
Well, it's really interesting that she's the great grandmother of David, and if you go back quite a few generations, you get Tamar, who's also in the maternal line of David.
Okay, well, all of that is
it's just one of many stories that God uses unusual people to fulfill God's ends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm looking for the Newer Testament, which eventually will testify to how how the reign of Trump fulfills God's ends. I'll look for it. It'll be coming out shortly, because we already decided that he was sent by God to save the United States and to make America great. So
Again,
right.
don't
So
forget.
eventually the gospel will be read for sure. Um, but I sent everybody these other two things, these little articles. I was just tickled because Yuval Harari, who wrote *Sapiens*, had in the New York Times article today about why do people accept myths, all of these myths. And I thought that was really neat because he's probably the best anthropologist I know of, as in the study of humans as a people. And it's some sympathy. And then I said in my note that when I met with Gar, we talked about this, and I asked him what his perspective was on why do people accept myths that have no basis in fact, and in fact can be easily disproven.
Because
And he was, and I thought his thoughts was sort of parallel to what Harari's are, that the complexity of events that goes on around us is pretty serious, and people do want a cogent explanation to put it all together. And if it's too hard to juggle all of the various complexities going in one direction or another, sometimes it's easier to just accept a mythology that says, there's the hidden people involving Soros and everyone else that basically is controlling everything.
Look, in Brazil, at least, we call this the cab driver mentality, because you ride a cab, and particularly my father and my grandfather were big cab conversationalists. See, in Sao Paulo, you ride cabs a lot, because even when you have a car, because it's so hard to park and takes such a long time. So sometimes it's easier just to take a cab. And there are lots of, and cabbies have, so you have a problem with the Jews and the Arabs, you take the Palestinians, you move them to Alaska, they'll be cold because they are always hot there. And then they will, and they have all these solutions that, on the surface, that makes sense. I mean, where else are you going to tell these people? It's like, so it's what we call the cab driver mentality. Cab driver answer. People, if you give them an answer that's too complex, either they can't comprehend or they don't want to comprehend. And talking about Brazil, Tiago just joined us in from Brazil.
Well, there's no mythology in Brazil that I know of.
No. Tiago is our mythology. He almost got himself killed this weekend. So
wait a minute. What happened?
Yeah, doing police work, and then he almost got himself killed by other policemen. That's
oh my God,
Brazil.
It's terrible.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting country. Let's put it this way.
Yes, well, judging by the characters that emerge from it, I think it is very interesting.
Yeah, chiefly Tiago.
Yeah.
Tiago, yeah. So, our most favorite Brazilian today.
Okay, well, that's good.
They had elections there.
Oh.
But not for president. So there's no need to steal the elections like they did here.
Well, I did it personally, and it didn't do me any good so far. So speaking of kindness,
yes.
Okay, the kindness that we need to know about.
Chesed.
Chesed.
Chesed, yes.
Yeah, chesed is different. You know, I mean, it's not like you know, chesed is not what you'd call in Yiddish a toive. A toive is you know, is to do good for someone, do me a favor. It's not like that. You know, chesed goes way beyond. Is when you do something without expecting anything back.
Right.
The ultimate act of chesed is when people die, is to help bury them, because in that case, even if they wanted to, they can't pay you back. Understand?
Yeah.
That's what real chesed is all about.
But
And then, since we're talking about that, there was in Rio, where Thiago's from, an organization, a self-help organization of Jewish prostitutes called Chesed Shel Emes, which is very interesting because the prostitutes
kindness
are.
and truth.
Oh, this is very powerful, because the prostitutes, even though they're prostitutes, they're Jewishly educated, obviously, because generally you have and there was another Jewish organization called Chesed Ve'emet, kindness and truth,
Yes.
but what the prostitutes are saying is, you guys don't do anything for us. Their organization is called Chesed Shel Emet, which means truthful chesed, truthful kindness, implying that the other ones are just doing something to make themselves look good, but not really helping them. They create their own self-help organization. And if you want to make it really, really nice, it's a long story. One day I might be able to. Even Tiago doesn't know it because he's, you know. But the organization had mega bucks and taking care of its members. And then towards the end, when just went out of business, you know, didn't exist anymore, there were no more members, they had lots of money left, and they gave it to the in the 50s, 50s or 60s, to just born Jewish state of Israel.
Really?
Yeah, very nice.
Interesting.
Yeah. Brazil, it's a country of all kinds of interesting stories. One day we might even be able to go there.
Well, we will. They'll have to decide whether they want to merge two countries with the highest COVID-19 cases together.
With Argentina?
No, I think, well, I'm not sure who's 1, 2, and 3 these days. I think India is coming up pretty quickly.
I think it's United States, Brazil, and then India.
Okay, yeah, because I know India is catching up because they've got plenty of numbers to go with it.
There are plenty of people there, yeah?
Text message from. Text message from.
Everything in India is superlative. Oh. But anyway, tell us more about Chesed, Virginia.
Chesed is what kept God from destroying the Israelites throughout all their episodes of disobedience.
That was true.
Well, they needed something because they did misbehave seriously all the way along the way, right?
That's for sure.
Well, but that's all God's fault.
No, but if
He gave him the choice to do it.
In my Presbyterian days, when we were fighting about LGBT ordination, I had a national group on the internet called Chesed. And we it was basically people from all around the country coming to support LGBT people.
According to an email I got from the Reform Judaism people, today is World Transgender Day or something like that.
Right.
I wasn't sure what that was, but I stay home to celebrate.
So we'll have to celebrate Theo tonight.
We celebrate Theo every night, even though today I threatened to fire him because he sided with Denise on a Facebook discussion, and then he wrote back, "Now you won't. You need me to sing."
But I think he's decided rather than being transgender, he's simply non-binary.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm not smart enough to know the difference. I'm sorry. Wherever it is good. I would say here it's going to be on YouTube. I must say all this kind of discussion generally lead me to know more about people than I care to know. I don't care. Don't involve me. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm not against. I'm not in favor.
Message
Whatever it
from.
is,
Text
you get from me
from.
uttermost acceptance. That's it. No, you know. I mean, it's my whole issue of the pronouns. What are my pronouns? Just tell me how the hell you want me to call you, and that's fine. Don't. That's me.
Just call me every so often, just so I'll know.
Just call me for just call me for dinner. Don't call me for dinner. Something like that, right?
Right. Oh, there's Len. Look at him. Look at that beautiful computer.
Look at that poem.
Look at that beautiful computer, and he's on an iPhone, huh? Hey, Len, unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hi, there you are.
Listen, I'm awfully sorry. I got a new computer. It's very fancy. The damn thing just wouldn't get me in. I had downloaded the Zoom program earlier and it seemed to operate. And when I got on it just a half hour ago, it wouldn't work. And anyway, here I am. I'm on my phone.
With a new fancy computer, all that is just a pretty face anyway.
That's true.
Yeah.
So is this the HP, or is it an HP? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it's a Mac.
Oh,
it's not
okay.
the HP.
Well, then it should be easy.
I got an Apple computer, and
wonderful.
Uses them.
So you should move in with the Genius Bar, and they'll get you going.
Yes, I think it's a good idea. But anyway, it was very frustrating. It says on the window, it says join Zoom meetings, 1 click, you're in. And I kept clicking and it didn't do any good. So who knows?
Maybe you need the address. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry I didn't see the voicemail from you, Len, that before that you dissolved the reading business. But you have the chapter anyway. You have the book.
Yeah, I read the chapter on Ruth. Wasn't it?
So the kindness is that she manifests is with her basically to stick with her mother-in-law, right?
Yes.
And any woman who sticks with her mother-in-law is an Ashes Chayil just from the beginning, right?
A saint.
Yes, because that's hard to do. And and she went pretty far. She went out to go bring her back groceries too, from Boaz's field.
Wow.
Yeah.
Following up on the topic that Virginia started, and it's all Virginia's fault, as always. It's, I heard plenty from my classmates that there's more to the story, that the attachment that the two women had probably went beyond the daughter-in-law relationship.
Oh, really?
Or I guess this is the beauty of the Torah, right? It says in Pirkei Avot, "Afochba ve'afochba dekulaba," turn it because everything is in it. So wherever proof text you want to find, or every issue you want to find the proof text for, you can find in the Torah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in Christianity that there are books written about how Jesus was gay.
Right.
Well, I mean, it doesn't specifically say that Mary Magdalene was his girlfriend.
No.
the general the general hypothesis is Lazarus was his boyfriend.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's based upon a really enigmatic passage from the secret Gospel of Mark, which is a non-canonical text.
All right. But isn't there enough in there? Did you have to go further to find something else?
I
One
think
one
point
bit
is
of
that you can prove anything with the Bible.
Yeah.
one bit of evidence to me that it was a platonic relationship between Ruth and what's her name,
Naomi.
Naomi.
Or Mara.
Naomi, was that that Naomi urged her to cozy up to Boaz. Yeah, so that would be evidence that if she was involved in a relationship, a sexual relationship with her mother-in-law, mother-in-law would not have urged her to
She could have, for economic
get.
Boaz was wealthy, was a wealthy older man.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is economic romance.
Right.
Well, whatever.
And it also provided a means of continuing Naomi's family line.
Yeah.
So she just encouraged a little opportunism.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't review all the midrash on Ruth, but some of it is really fascinating. And I know one is that Boaz's wife had just died, and Ruth shows up on the day of the funeral. So one goes out, another comes in. I mean, I love midrash. They're but in general, the rabbis were very favorable toward Ruth.
Well, I should hope so.
She was the first Jewish convert.
Right.
Traditionally, at least, that's what she's called.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was perhaps a little bit less defined.
Well, she just went along with everything, including God. I'll take your whole shebang, including your God, right?
Oh yeah.
But she also affirmed the peoplehood.
Right.
It wasn't just a religion. She bought the whole thing.
Yeah, sure. The whole business, including the religion. Yeah.
Well, mostly again, because it's what I spend most of my life explaining to people. Judaism is not religion. Never forget that. Judaism is not religion. Christianity is religion. But Judaism is not religion.
Yeah, I wish Doug Alpert would quit saying it is.
We're being
He pisses me off.
I'm not going to say anything else.
You learn a lot of weird stuff in the Rabbinic Association conversion course.
Well,
So do we have a conflict there between various sectors of Reform Judaism?
where to start? You mean the Rabbinic Association? Where to start? I started all my fighting with them was on account of the conversion to Judaism class, which they insisted should only be taken by people who are planning to convert. And I said, I just don't understand. I mean, why would you do this? I mean, but no, but
Oh, I see. Jacques, you're also live on YouTube.
exactly.
You mean this Mishigas is also on YouTube? I thought just
That's
the
what I'm saying. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
and then we can, if in case any choice words were
This is not a good advertisement for adult
no,
education.
no, I don't think so. Well, but you can claim that there's 50,000 followers on YouTube. It's just that they don't want to do it by Zoom.
I have 14,000. My channel.
Okay. I don't know what a channel is, so I got that.
Well, I'll explain to you later.
So what else do we need to know about kindness here? Somebody asked a question. How can we be more generous? Well, that's easy. What can we do to respect our elders? Well, as I've now joined the group of octogenarians, so I expect some respect sooner or later, and maybe some kindness, not too likely. But who knows? It might happen. Len, is that true? That once you're an octogenarian, you get kindness that wasn't evident before?
I wouldn't buy into that. If you're a kind person, you might become kinder. If you're a mean bastard, you're likely to get meaner.
Yeah, I used to think that, at least from the examples I had within my own family, that as people got older, they got more and more conservative, some of whom, in fact, went far right, insane. But I haven't noticed many signs of that myself yet, but maybe that's because I just don't see the reality as it is.
I see a lot of examples of the reverse, where people become much more progressive as they age.
Really? Okay, well, it's good to know because I was getting a little disturbed there.
I think
You
people
get
become
much more what? What'd you say, Virginia? Much more what?
Progressive.
Aggressive.
progressive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think you just become more of what you are.
Well, but
Okay.
Which means Denise is screwed. As I get older.
Yeah. They're not just referring to expansion of your physical being, to be more what you are. So, and so we're supposed to take care of people, and that's fine. And I agree. So, what acts of kindness are part of my life? Not many. I guess there's some people who sorely need a slap upside the face that I don't do it, but that's not considered a major act of kindness. Now that's an interesting question. How does practicing kindness bless others and ourselves? And I guess that's just because that makes us more in the image of God that we're supposed to be. But I'm not sure why I asked the question.
Well, if we owe our continued existence to God's chesed, are we not supposed to also show chesed to our fellow human beings?
Well, of course, sure. And so that blesses us, I guess. It makes us more like God, right? Or I really like that idea from Schwartz about, no, we're not prophets. We just hope to be children of the prophets. that continued aspiration as opposed to arriving there as a prophet. Because once you say you are a prophet, that means it's all ego rather than the process of trying to learn it. I've got a long distance to go anyway in my empathy.
Yeah, that was the basic element of kindness,
Yeah,
empathy.
yeah. It's hard to do because you have to really feel it, and and I know I want it, and I know I want to be understanding, but certain things just haven't ticked for enough empathy for people who I regard choosing to go in a direction. I'm saying that they're choosing to go in a direction that I disapprove of, but that's an awful too large a population to accept as that just being a simple fact. And so it may be that that's why my empathy is lacking. I can't yet feel that they have the same striving for goodness as I think I'm doing. And that's all ego. Well, what else can we learn about this kindness?
Well, I think there's a good illustration of the lack of kindness in the Trump administration. In particular, the separation of the kids from their parents. That's one of the cruelest acts, and that was done to teach people a lesson to keep them from immigrating.
Right.
And coming into this country. And it's almost ununderstandable. And the guy who was in charge of the program and possibly sold Trump on the idea, although I doubt that Trump needed too much convincing. I think his name was Miller, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. Steve Miller. Yeah, his
Stephen
economic
Miller.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who's devised all the cruel things that Trump has ever thought of. I mean, he's actually specialized in it. And actually, I've mentioned before that basically he is Trump's Roy Cohn.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he fulfills it. For every possible problem, he's got the most evil solution and has sold it. He's been pretty good about that.
Yeah.
But Len, being the devil's advocate here, we have certain rules in our society and certain procedures. And I have a policeman in Tiago who's very quiet there. They're meant to prevent people from doing something you don't want them to do.
Yeah.
Right. So you put them in jail. I mean, you're caught speeding, you get a fine. You don't go to jail. Why? Because that's deemed enough punishment for that crime. And there's the belief that if you give people enough fines, they'll be more careful speeding. Obviously, if you have the death penalty for speeding, people drive way more carefully. But then you have too many death penalties. I agree.
Why is that obvious?
What do you mean?
Why is it obvious that works? To you, it may be obvious.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying that there is a standard. There's a standard in society, and the standard, I believe, is meant to stop that behavior.
Right? Well, I know what that supposedly its intention is, but why? I mean, why do we have such a high population of incarcerated people, biggest in the world in proportion? and we don't have a lower crime rate. It hasn't worked
Right.
so far.
Well, that's another good point. But okay, but I'm glad you said that because you just brought my point. What I'm not saying is a nice thing to do, but they wanted to stop people from coming here, and they're coming with kids. And if I think it's a horrendous thing to do, but it definitely accomplished the goal, right? Unlike our incarceration policy, which doesn't accomplish anything, the separating kids with the parents immediately have them stop.
Well, that's really been argued that yes, they didn't make it in because of the other policies which prevented them from seeking asylum, etc. And all of those
Yeah.
things. Yes, less people have tried to come in, but just because you make a big wall doesn't mean you've solved the problem. It means that temporarily less people per
Well, to
border.
follow on John's point, there were other ways to keep the immigrant population from flooding into our country, and one was to expect those people who were potential visitors or seeking asylum or whatever they were doing. They had to stay in Mexico or some other country and make their application and wait. Now that's a way of enforcing what is necessary for your country without being cruel to families.
You know, I mean, I should go on record to say that I think we should have an amnesty, and everybody who's illegal here should be made legal and be made to pay taxes. I mean, I'm not on the other side.
Well, they do pay taxes. They do pay taxes.
I think they do.
They do. They pay taxes, and not only do they pay taxes, but they don't actually get a refund on their taxes when that's too much. And so, in fact, they do pay all those taxes. We just steal from them.
I don't. I give them 1099s, wherever they are, wherever the accountant gives them.
Well,
but I know that, I don't know.
Yeah, but they can't apply to get it back.
Right. No, and that's why I'm in favor of people having an amnesty. And I think we're way due for it. I mean, it's not like we're running out of space in this country.
So it's all that simple business of stick and carrot, right? Now, the obvious solution to if we had an immigration problem, which is very doubtful that we do, but if we had an immigration problem that we don't like so many people coming in, then fix up the stuff that we didn't do in driving them out of their own country, which is what we did do.
That's absolutely true. I have spoken with you about that. How we import their best and we export to them back the criminal gangs who. I told you all the story about Honduras.
Then we encourage the crime. We keep it there.
Actually, by our drug policy, by us not making drugs legal and taxed, we create a great opportunity for business involves drug smuggling that comes through those countries.
Right.
So yes, I mean, we are 100% guilty for the crime that exists in Honduras and the level of crime because we are the end customers of drugs that, if everything was legal, you have, Pepsi and Coke and Kentucky Fried Chicken selling, being the drug business, like big corporations, and then everything will be kosher.
Would you want to make cocaine a legal drug?
By the way, didn't Oregon just make heroin legal or something? What was it?
I only know that, I carry Uruguay. Look, I carry Uruguayan passport. Uruguay is the ultimate proof of that. in Uruguay, it was the first country in the world to 100% liberate marijuana. It's a country in the world where everything you could imagine is legal. Probably not cocaine, but you can come out in the country and come out of the country with as much money as you want, no questions asked. It was the first country in Latin America to allow for abortion. First country in South America to allow for women to vote. It's the only country in Latin America where the church doesn't rule. Where maybe there's a church, not like in Brazil where there's a church every corner. It's it's working very well for them.
It's very interesting.
In Uruguay, prostitution is legal, regulated, with health stamps, whatever.
Well, it's also isn't it also legal in Brazil?
Prostitution
and regulated.
I believe in Brazil, it's I remember it is illegal to be a pimp, but to be a prostitute is legal.
Yes, that's right.
Which is already an advancement. I also remember that when we had the Olympics in Brazil, they were teaching English classes to prostitutes in Rio. Maybe your granddaughter was involved in it, to help the business.
Now, Jacques, don't you have a Uruguay?
She's teaching. She's a university professor teaching public health. I'll have you know.
No, I know, but I know she was involved in the thing. I thought it was very cool.
And this is who is your relation? Is your daughter, your granddaughter?
She's my granddaughter.
Okay, well,
wonderful.
That's good. Well, then more nachas for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's better than being president.
Yeah, well.
Jacques, don't you have a Uruguayan passport?
Who?
You? Yeah, that's what I thought. No wonder he was giving us a sales talk about Uruguay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nationalist. He's a Uruguayan nationalist.
It's not such a great country, trust me. After it was declared a republic, the first act of the president was go there and finish killing the maybe 400 or 500 native Indians, the charruas they had left. The president went on a mission in Uruguay, and he did that by trickery. He went on a mission to pacify the Indians.
That takes away all the kudos you were throwing at that country.
No, but this was in 18. This was in 18 some. The early 1800s.
I thought you're talking about current.
No.
Yeah.
No.
After all, we killed in the 1800s. We killed the Indians. Too.
Right. But but the first president did it by trickery. I mean, first of all, there aren't that many for starters. Then when the Spanish arrived, they brought all kinds of disease and they promoted disease among the Indians. And finally, when there's only a handful left, I'm talking a couple hundred, right? He invited them all to a big meal. And then he surrounded, it's a peace meal. And then they surrounded the thing with army. And then he left. And then the soldiers shot everybody. Unreal.
Wow,
That's
lovely.
Sounds like a great guy.
Historical events you don't hear much about. So yeah.
But they've overcome their evil history.
Oh, then it was a country was always open. It allowed all refugees to come in, especially Jews, but I'm sure Nazis as well. And not like Argentina. Argentina promoted the Nazis. Uruguay just allowed. You understand? Uruguay is like, was it like Mongolia? Like what do you call it? Like a cork, a state that's it a buffer between two big countries, so they don't fight too much. Don't have too much reason to fight. So between Brazil and Argentina.
Get your pillow.
Oh, so that's what they do.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how Uruguay's function. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Anyway, fellow Israel.
What else did we miss, Virginia, that we should have pointed out amongst the four of us?
Give me just 1 second, folks.
miss something important?
Oh, these discussions are so disjointed that I have a hard time.
Well, were you going to put in a plug for kindness? Okay, I'll put in the plug. Kindness is good.
Go get my water.
Okay.
We'll go for kindness.
Fridge, I think.
All right, and I'm going to go join Anita.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Fred. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Good Shabbos. Busy days.
Yeah, what are you and Roseanne doing for Thanksgiving?
We're going to having a exclusive dinner, just the two of us, and we're going to have a Chinese duck that requires hanging in the kitchen window for a while
Oh, wow.
Overnight.
overnight.
Chinese duck. Is it also sort of spiced? Is it flavored? Or
You,
is it just a roasted?
Well,
it's
it's fluent in
flavored.
Mandarin for one thing.
No. You, I scald it and then I hang it over the sink and brush warm honey on it several times until it's kind of glazed and leave it overnight to hang and the fat drip out of it. And then in the morning, I take it down and I rub a mixture of seasonings and spices in the cavity. And then it roasts.
Sounds wonderful.
You better watch out. Some people might get wind of it and come in and try to get some, share the duck with you.
Well, depending on who they
I'm
were,
not-
they would be welcome.
No,
Sounds very good.
I think you're very smart to do as Dr. Fauci has suggested. Just have Thanksgiving with your family.
Well,
Well, that's what we're going to do.
much of our family is in Texas, but the two of us will have Thanksgiving.
No, the family you live with is the way he put it.
Yep, that's good. Well, you know, I heard him say he has 3 grown daughters and they're going to be in their particular places, and he and Fauci and his wife are going to be in theirs, and they will Zoom.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll probably be on FaceTime with the kids, and so we're going to have a pleasant, quiet holiday with a nice meal for ourselves.
And of course, Temple Israel can have its own Zooming Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You can,
Well,
Feel lonely.
does anybody know anything about that besides a few of us?
yeah, well, we're going to be talking about this tonight, and then the president's
So
going to send a message. And
we will be doing that.
Okay.
And then what you should know is, for a guy who doesn't drink, there's only one time of the year I care about drinking. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a called Beaujolais Nouveau.
Ah,
It's like the Tempranillo wine from Spain. The one that has not too much alcohol. That's the one. It's the one time a year I buy one bottle.
You know, that's interesting. This is the first year I haven't gone out to get it. And I guess it was last Tuesday, the 3rd Tuesday in November, when Nouveau Beaujolais appears.
Well, it came out yesterday. I know because I got a notice, and then one time a year I buy wine.
That's because, but it came Tuesday, the 3rd Tuesday in November.
I went to look for it. It wasn't there. And then the 19th, to have us ready for your birthday, John, because everybody should know that among other things, we are celebrating.
Would you pour some into my cup, please?
Yes. Oh, but you can come here and meet.
Yeah.
So should we sing?
Hmm?
Should we sing?
happy birthday.
Oh, no, I mean, we'll sing Barechu instead. It's a Jewish version of it.
It looks like Theo's ready to
Ready?
sing to John.
And how was Denise's birthday?
Denise's birthday was nice because I as you guys know, I surprised by bringing Dahlia, schlepping there to Colombia. So Dahlia was very clever because she was holding her cell phone when she came down the steps when Denise came from work, and then she filmed no, and crying and everything. So it was very nice.
Good.
And then we went to a place that's very traditional. For some reason, Denise's, all the events in her life that are important, starting from being accepted into university, then graduating from university, have been celebrated at the Olive Garden. So that's where we went.
So how was the Olive Garden?
Well, a reduced menu now. You know
Really?
that? Yeah.
Yeah, not that.
Yes, reduced menu. So
Are
she's not
they-
here.
Were there a lot of people there?
Again, we went on a Thursday, so is Denise coming in? There were far more than I thought would be. You know, I mean, I was actually surprised. I mean, we didn't have to wait as we do when we go on Fridays, but there are plenty. Yeah, Denise, don't destroy the house, please. She just walked in, Miss Cooper Corn. So they are saying Olive Garden was full, right?
Yes.
Yeah. There are plenty of people. We're quite surprised about that.
Hey, do we get to see her? Do we get to see her? Does she exist?
They want to see you. I need to have somebody to light Shabbos candles, somebody to be a reader, please.
I will sing Kiddush.
You can, that's fine. It's a good thing. It's your birthday.
Allowed to play with
One-
fire.
Oh, Summer is with us. Look at that.
She was here last week.
Oh, I just noticed her. Plus, we want you to speak to us, Summer, about the Innocence Project.
I'd be happy to.
We're going to schedule you in. I will contact you as soon as we've got the perfect time for when innocence is needed.
Candles. Tell 'em all.
Because most of the time, innocence is so far from us that we even never think about it. But sooner or later, we're going to get a little innocence here.
Roseanne said
forward
she
to it.
will be delighted to light candles.
Okay, good. So who wants to be a reader? Do I have it?
Looks like Pat's gonna read.
I'll read.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so come show yourself.
I'm coming. I'm gonna log on my computer.
Why? They can see you here. Come. So they are thinking I killed you for your birthday, so they are proof that you are alive.
Hello.
Hi.
No.
Happy birthday, John.
I put him here.
Put them right here, yeah.
Present. Good. Okay, so we will start our service on page.
What was the fans not going?
Let's do page 3. Hine Mato.
Nemato.
Scoot the keyboard over so I can have the candles.
Don't sing.
Hine Mato Evet Mahim Gam Yachat Hine Matom Banai Evet Mahim Gam Yachat Hine Matom Evet Mahim Gam Yachat Hine Matom Shabbat Toldot.
Now I'll do the candle lighting on page 7.
Okay. Come, let us welcome Shabbat. Oh, unmute me.
You're unmuted.
No, you're not. You're going.
Come, let us welcome Shabbat. May its radiance warm our hearts as we kindle these tapers.
Light is the symbol of God's presence in our lives. The Eternal One is our light and our salvation.
Light is the symbol of the holiness within each of us. The human spirit is the light of God.
Light is the symbol of the Torah's teachings, for the commandment is a lamp and the Torah is a light.
Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. As it is written, I have made you a covenant people to serve as a light to the nations.
Therefore, in the spirit of our ancient tradition that hallows and unites Israel in all lands and all ages, we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlich ner shel Shabbat. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God. I'm sorry. We praise our eternal God, creator of the universe, who hallows our lives through laws and ethical teachings. We're mindful of these timeless values as we kindle the lights of Shabbat.
May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Continue on page 8 with the Kiddush and the birthday boy.
Us that all life is sacred, that all our work and joys can be dedicated to God, and that we may find the truest happiness in serving the Eternal One. Let us praise God with this symbol of joy as we express gratitude for all the blessings of the past week, for our lives and our health, for our homes, for our loved ones and friends, for the happiness that has come to us from our efforts. You have ennobled us by the blessings of work and given us the gift of Shabbat rest, as it is written in the Torah. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is Shabbat, to be devoted to the eternal God. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pori hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'vratzan hichilanu, zikaron l'maseh v'reishit. Ihu yom tefilah l'mikroe kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ivanu v'acharta, yatanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha, yahava u'vratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Good.
Wish I had gotten the Nouveau Beaujolais.
You want one? I bought 2 bottles, John.
Oh, well.
Where did I get it? Oh, I got it. Anyway.
Should have been at Costco. They have it.
At your Costco, not the Overland Park. Anyway, we continue on page 56. This being the third service of the month. So we read the third service. Going on here. Good. Creator of the universe, we have come together on this Shabbat to affirm your presence in our lives and to offer our prayers of thanksgiving. The week of toil has ended, the time of rest has come. You have given us the blessing of labor, so that by our work we may fashion things of use and beauty. May the fruits of our labors be acceptable to you.
May each new Shabbat find us going from strength to strength, so that through your guiding spirit we may aspire to ever worthier endeavors. Make us conscious of our obligations and of the opportunities for service that you have put within our reach. Help us to use our blessings and our talents for the benefit of others, so that the lives of many may be made better through the work of our hands.
And we continue praying responsively on top of page 57. We have been told what is good and what God expects of us.
To do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God.
Have we not all one Creator? Did not one God make us all? Or is you?
Why do we behave divisively, setting one against the other?
Proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all the inhabitants thereof.
Let justice well up as the waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
יתקדע ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעמד יברח ירתה וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמיה, יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי קודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל בחטא ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמרון בהמה, Amen.
On page 59, continue with the Baruchu. Baruchu et Adonai Amvorach, praise the eternal, whom all praise is due. Baruch Adonai Amvorach leolam vaet.
Let us praise the eternal God, to whom all praise is due, now and forever.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach leolam vaed. Hamevorach Hamevorach leolam vaed.
On page 60, O God, how can we know you? Where can we find you? You are as close to us as breathing, and yet are farther than the most distant stars. You are as mysterious as the vast solitudes of the night, and yet are as familiar to us as the light of the sun. Even to Moses you said, you cannot see my countenance, but I'll make all my goodness pass before you. Thus, does your goodness pass before us in the realm of nature and in the varied experiences of our lives. Page 61.
When justice burns like a flaming fire within us, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we proclaim our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, we are truly doing your will. You live in our hearts, even as you pervade our world. Through righteous action, we offer living testimony to your presence.
And together we affirm on page 62, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the eternal our God, the eternal God is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Let us praise God who rules in glory forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
And continue the after in Hebrew. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לעוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
You shall love the eternal God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all of your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be upon your heart, shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up. You shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be a symbol before your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
We continue praying responsively on page 65. All these we hold to be true and sure. We have only one God, and there is none else. Pat.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in God's love and exult in God's justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
The Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefelet, nora tehilot osefelet. Malachut chara ufanecha, ukei hayam lifnei Moshe, zelianu ve'amru, zelianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefelet, Nora tehi loto sefele.
In the middle of page 56.
The people of Israel should preserve the Sabbath, observing the Sabbath throughout the generations as the perpetual covenant. It is a bond between God and the people of Israel forever.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'rit olam. B'nei b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'rit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'rit olam. U'bayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat le'dorotam b'rit olam.
Page 67. Those who preserve Shabbat and call it a delight will rejoice. The people, hello Shabbat, delight in your goodness, for being pleased with the seventh day, you made it the most precious of days, a day of gratitude for the work of creation.
Yismechu v'malachutecha shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei shevi Shabbat. Kulam yisveu v'yitmelu metu v'chashabat uvashvihi ratzita bo v'kitash Shabbat kamdat yamin oto karat Shabbat zecher lemase bereshit Shabbat zecher lemase bereshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha shomerei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat.
Page 68.
Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace and that we may rise up again to life. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with wise counsel. Be as a shield about us, fortifying us against hatred and war, against pestilence and sorrow. Curb within us the inclination to do evil, and enfold us within the embrace of your love. Guide our going out and coming in to life and peace from this time forth and forever. We praise you, God, for you shelter us and all who dwell on earth.
You know, the Amida, page 69.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Fia Gita Hilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu Veimotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur Vehanora, Elion, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, V'geula Livnei B'nehem, L'man Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah.
We praise you, God of our mothers and fathers, God of Abraham, God of Sarah, God of all generations. You bestow loving kindness on all your people. You remember the devotion of those who came before us. As you guided our ancestors with love, you offer hope to us, their descendants. You are our creator and helper, our guide and protector. We praise you, eternal God, shield of Abraham and help of Sarah.
Infinite is your power, O God. Great is your gift of life. In loving kindness, you sustain the world. Through the endless flow of your blessings, you preserve all of creation. You uphold the falling and heal the sick. Free the captive and keep faith with your people in death as in life. Who is like you, author of life and death? We praise you, God, the source of eternal life.
Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata, Rav Lehoshia, Mechakel Chayim V'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamo Chaba Gevorot, Umidom Elach, Melech Meimit Umchaye, Umatzniach Yeshua, B'ne'eman Atal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol.
Page 71. Source of all knowledge and wisdom, you have endowed us with reason and understanding. We pray for the light of your truth, for insight into your ways, and for the strength to banish from our hearts every unworthy desire. Forgive us for our transgressions and pardon our failings. May those who have lost their way come to know your love again, that they may turn to you with newness of heart.
Our God and God of our mothers and fathers, grant that our worship on this Shabbat may be acceptable to you. Sanctify us through your precepts, that we may share in the blessings of the Torah. Help us to be satisfied with the gifts of your goodness and grateful for all that you bestow. Purify our hearts that we may serve you in truth. May we preserve Shabbat as our people's heritage from generation to generation, that it will ever bring rest and joy, peace and comfort to our lives. We praise the eternal God who sanctifies Shabbat.
On page 72, Creator of all the world, you have blessed us with noble powers. Teach us to make wise use of them. You have called us to be your partners in the never-ending work of creation. Thank you for the capacity to choose the path devoted to your service and dedicated to the well-being of those around us. Next page.
May all people find their way and help establish peace in our world. Let them cultivate that goodwill which may bring enduring peace. Let all nations realize that the triumphs of war turn to ashes, that justice and right are better than conquest and aggression. May they come to see that it is not by might and not by power, but by your spirit that life prevails. Bless our land with plenty and our nation with peace. May righteousness abide with us and virtue bring us happiness. Blessed is our eternal God who hearkens to prayer.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך tasim leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
Give thanks for the freedom that is ours, and we pray for those in other lands who are persecuted and oppressed. Help them to bear their burdens and keep alive in them the love of freedom and the hope for deliverance. Uphold the hands of our brothers and sisters in the land of Israel. Cause a new light to shine on Zion and on us all, that the time may come again when the Torah will go forth from the house of Israel, word from the tents of Jacob. Blessed is our God, whose presence gives life to our people Israel. And now we turn to page, as our practice, to page 12, page 10, I'm sorry, for prayer for those in need of healing. Let me find my way here. Just a minute. Okay. Pray for those friends, relatives, members of our congregation whom we need of healing. Page 10. Prayer invites God's presence to lift our spirits. It allows the blessing and gift of hope to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water a arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Shabbat, we pray for following members of our congregation, relatives of members: Phyllis Broad, Gary Kashner, Anita Hampshire, and Ty Hampshire, who, by the way, has been moved to a regular room from intensive care. Marvin Aaron, Art Waltz, Nancy Stern, Mike Herman, Wayne Owen, Martha Katz, Gary Mincy. Joyce wants us to pray for Jean Morgan and Lou, Stephen Lloyd White, Jennifer Bowden, and Joel, and Pat should pray for Susan Transmeyer, Anna Jackson, Colin Scholes, Andy Beckard. Did I miss anything, Pat? No. And then Theo for Nancy Nielsen. Caleb, that we should pray for his mom's boyfriend, whose name is Michael Damaris. And Denise for Mary Newstrom, Maria Moreau, Mr. Farnell, and David Savner. Oh, yeah, poor Mr. Savner. And who am I missing? Oh, and then even though the Wickmans don't put in, I have them for Howard Dukes and Donna Vesto. Anybody else? I would definitely pray for everyone still suffering from this pandemic, for sure. Okay.
We pray for all people who at this hour are in sickness, in want, or in distress of body or spirit. We name in our hearts those who are near to us and in whose pain we feel pain. Let them know your help and feel your presence, realizing that they are not alone.
Bekor habracha leimotenu Avotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Isheberachimotenu, nekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pause now for a moment of silent prayer, using the words in our own hearts or those on page 74.
Leratzon imrefim ve'egion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri ve'guali tzuri ve'guali.
So this Shabbat is Parsha Toldot. I'll ask you guys to please mute everybody to mute themselves. Thank you. Again, be easier. Thank you. So it's Parsha Toldot, and we talk about story that's very common, not only in the Torah, but in fact throughout history. Struggle between two brothers, between brothers in general. I think at the end of the day, your brother, your siblings are the ones you have to most to fight with, because it's the original fight, because after all are the ones you have to fight for the most important thing from the beginning, which is your parents' attention and love and benefits. It says there, in Genesis 25th, 23 in the Torah, the Lord said to her, that's Rebecca, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples shall be separated from your bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Which, by the way, highlights something that I call the Andrew Bergson theory about the Bible. The Bible is full of irony and contradiction, because on one hand it tells you the firstborn is the best, get the most, you should the favorite, but then throughout the Bible you find stories of the firstborns being underneath the one who born later. But we read about these twins, twin brothers in this parsha, Esau and Jacob. And even in their mother wombs, they are already causing trouble and fighting and causing pain to their poor mother, Rebecca. And this fight, this struggle will continue throughout their lives. Perhaps the two are, as I stated earlier, not only representing brothers, as they fight with each other for the parents' love and attention, affection. Perhaps they represent two kinds of people, two models of people, maybe two archetypes, two different kinds of human beings. It's obviously, when you talk about models or archetypes, you're not talking about, you're talking generalities, because I'll get to this for sure, that, we all have all characteristics, but generally you can find two characteristics, so there's one against the other, there are two models. Archetypes, speaking of archetypes, help us understand better human beings because you see modes of behavior. Esau and Jacob, as I said, they're not only brothers, they were two kinds of people. Esau was the older and he lived by his passions. Jacob was the younger and he lived by reason. So basically, this is reason versus passion, a debate. This debate between passion and reason has a long way in Western thought, and it's recurrent in our biblical stories. Esau, the oldest child, is a man who lives by his desires. He's a hunter, an outdoorsman. He loves to go out in the woods. He is definitely his father's favorite because he brings him game to eat. And then when Esau is hungry, he wants to eat, he gives his birthright for a bowl of lentil soup, showing that Jacob was a master negotiator. But again, it's easy to negotiate when the other one is such an easy target. Later, over his parents' objections, he married not one, but two Canaanite women. So Esau is the guy who not only will eat wherever he wants when he wants, but he also marry whoever he wants. His second name for Esau is Edom, a term that is very similar to the Hebrew word Adom, which means red. It's not that he was the first communist. In fact, he was the first redneck, because he'll be these days driving a pickup with a shotgun across the back, and he wants what he wants and doesn't care about the law. Jacob the younger is the opposite. He's a man of thinking, of reasoning. He lives in the tent, he cooks meals, and according to the rabbinic tradition, he studies the Torah. He acts at least smarter than his older brother. He plays on Esau's weaknesses and his appetites, convincing him to trade, to make a bargain for his birthright, something he would have maybe someday in the future for immediate gratification, for getting the soup of lentils right now. It's also important to remember that, if you cook that lentils, they start red, so there's a connection there with the red as well. Anyway, later he manipulates his father together with his mom. He manipulates his father to give him the blessing meant for Esau. But Jacob will get what he deserves. Next week, we'll read how Laban, who's Jacob's father-in-law, chastises him with the words, "Around here, the older comes before the younger." It's not like where we're coming from, because remember, he tries to marry one daughter, and when he needs to marry the other daughter, he says, here in Padan Aram, we don't do the hanky-panky you guys did there in Canaan. Still, Rebecca, who carries the twins in her womb, still she favors Jacob. And we found further proof of this much later in the text, in the prophet Malachi, where God seems to favor Jacob as well over Esau. We're in Malachi, the very beginning of the book, chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, it says, Esau is Jacob's brother, declares the Lord. Jacob I have loved, but Esau I have hated. So perhaps God wants us to behave more like Jacob than like Esau, namely to behave in a way that we are more focused on reason than on our appetites and our passions. Much of Western philosophy goes around the idea of Jacob, or what Jacob stands for, the importance of human reasoning. However, not everybody agrees. There's a time that we bring about the German philosopher Nietzsche, who famously said God is dead. He believed that Western thought was in the wrong way. We kept following what he called the Apollonian approach. Apollo, if you remember your Greek mythology, was the son of Zeus, and who was the god of the sun and of human reasoning. And it was time for us to return to the Dionysian approach, that in the Roman sense called Bacchus, was also son of Zeus and brother of Apollo, but was the god of wine and human passion, Bacchus. It was time to reject, according to Nietzsche, to reject the entire this European traditional way of human reasoning and return to the pagan concept of human passion. So to paraphrase Malachi, it was time to hate Jacob and to love Esau. So the question then comes, are we supposed to live by passion or by reason? Should we copy the archetype, the model of Jacob or of Esau? Should we be like Apollonian or like Dionysius? So let me try to give you a thought. In a few weeks, the text of the Torah, keep coming, we'll be here. We will read about the reconciliation between Jacob and Esau. They will embrace and make peace. After all, they are not only brothers, they are twin brothers. And we, as people, have inside us a bit of Esau and a bit of Jacob. We are both creatures of passion and of reason. We don't need to choose between one and the other, but we need to find the balance of both of them. We have to work at becoming creatures of passion, but also creatures of reason as well. That's it. Shabbat Shalom. Comments, remarks, complaints? No. If not, we'll continue on page 368 with the adoration. Okay. 368. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו.
Let us adore the ever-living God. We offer praise unto you, who spread out the heavens and established the earth. Your glory is revealed in the heavens above, and your greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
We bow our heads in reverence before the eternal one, source of all life.
ואנחנו חורים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
May the time not be distant, O God, when you shall be worshipped throughout the earth, when unbelief shall disappear and error be no more. Fervently we pray that the day may come when all people shall be guided by your teachings. Corruption and evil shall give way to purity and goodness. Superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. Then all who dwell on earth shall know that to you alone every knee shall bend and every voice give praise. May all, created in your image, recognize that we are brothers and sisters, so that one in spirit and one in harmony, we may be forever united before you. Then shall your reign be established on earth, and the word of your ancient prophet be fulfilled. The eternal God will reign forever and ever.
On that day, the eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one.
Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo Echad.
In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision and grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's plan. Yet we know that both growth and decay, life and death, all reveal God's purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set the eternal one before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts, and through our spirit abide in trust in you. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, the 6 million who perished in the Shoah, and those of every race, nation, and faith whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. In this week where we have been told that so far 250,000 people have already died of COVID, I think only in this country. We certainly think of all those who died of COVID. I'd like to know if anybody here is observing a Shiva, 7-day mourning period. No. Anybody observing a Shloshim, a 30-day mourning? Let me see if I have you guys here. Anybody observing a Shloshim? Okay. No. Then, as far as your sites, Temple Israel remembers the following. Abraham Rosenberg was one of our founding members, and who unfortunately all the members of his family have died, but he was a really wonderful guy. Sura Chaya Kukerkorn was my grandmother. Olympia Velasquez Castro, Denise's grandmother. And that's what we have for this week. Anybody else has a yahrzeit? The departed whom we now remember have entered into the peace of life eternal. They still live on earth in the acts of goodness they perform in the hearts of those who cherish their memory. In the beauty of their lives abide among us a loving benediction. And now, as a community of mourners, we turn to the Kaddish on page 375. Itgadal ve'itkadash shemei rabba, ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, ve'chayechon uvyomechon, ve'chayei dechol Beit Israel, ba'agala uvizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach leolam uleolmei almaya. Itbarach ve'ishtabach ve'itpa'ar ve'itromam ve'itnaseh. Veitadar, Veitale, Veitalal, Shmei de Kudsha Brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'miram be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, chaim aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel ve'imru amen. May the source of peace and people who mourn comfort all who are bereaved among us. Say amen. I have many announcements. First, I want to thank Pat McKenna and for being a reader, Roseanne and Fred for lighting Shabbat candles, Theo for singing as always wonderfully, Virginia Lewis for putting so much to make our adult education work. We thank you, John, for being president and having a birthday and being an octogenarian today. You don't look like a day over 78, John. And
you look exactly like Joe Biden, whose birthday is also today. Exactly.
Something else you have in common with. I want to tell you, we don't have, but we'll be getting a donation in memory of my grandmother and Denise's grandmother. I want to tell you that anybody who has a few shekels left over when I send to the temple, or when you send your side donation, try to send a little more, because we're not doing any. Impossible to do fundraisers now. Big news are we have Thanksgiving coming up on Thursday. We're gonna do an online Thanksgiving. So basically, the plan is we need to define a time, and any one of you who's online may write me later, or wherever, write John, let us know what time do you think. But my idea is to take like maybe 4 hours, have a session open. At the beginning of the hour, there'll be some sharing, some education, something going on. Like Pat is going to talk about Thanksgiving. I don't know, whatever she told me she's going to talk about. And I know Virginia's going to do something. I'm going to use something that Roseanne Wickman and Fred gave me about the 40 top Jewish foods. And I'll have a session about food. What do I know better than that? And especially since you know, being Thanksgiving and what people eat is turkey, a big tasteless bird, to talk about some delicious food. And you know, so basically I'm thinking about 4. So at the beginning of each hour, there'll be some presentation. Yes.
What I was going to do is send out an email message again and ask people to answer with anything they would like to verbally contribute and times that they plan to attend. So we'll get a better idea, because we need to get some feedback. And if people would like to present some idea, some short time, we'll schedule it in. And so that within that time, we can have schmoozing as well as a few statements. And I'll send out an email invitation. And Rabbi, thank you very much for the service itself. We appreciate it. We're going to hopefully be able to continue at a distance, but in person by Zoom.
Right. Thank you. Yes, but you understand, there'll be also free time. You have the computer there, the laptop there, so you're sharing with other people, so you're not totally isolated. What else I want to tell you? I think that's it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. It will occur to me later. Anybody else? Has anything else to say? No. Denise? No?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. And I think that's it. We will conclude with Theo.
Osei Shalom, page 429.
429, Osei Shalom.
Osei Shalom bimromav, Uyasei Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru imru amen. Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Yasei Shalom, Yasei Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
In concluding our services, I ask God's blessings upon us. Yevarechecha Adonai v'shmerecha, may God bless us and keep us. Yair Adonai panav alecha v'chuneka, may God look kindly on us and ever be gracious to us. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show us tenderness and give us shalom, peace. Shabbat shalom. Happy
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
and as a wise woman, singer of the Reform movement, once said, hooray, hooray, hooray. Aren't you glad you're not a turkey on this Thanksgiving Day?
Indeed.
Or a duck.
John,
That's it. And then
remind me, the El Salvadoran where I'm going to right now, that's on 87th, right?
Yep.
El
Okay.
Salvadoreño.
Yeah, okay. We'll run over there. Just to represent the temple from last week's scheduled visit.
Correct. Don't
Tell
confuse with Para Salvatrucha. This is one of the dangerous gangs in Latin America.
Are they there? Are they on 87th Street?
I am sure.
Okay.
They're everywhere.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
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 See you tomorrow.